Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always excited to dig in.
This time, we're exploring the world of outsider art
Fascinating area.
and the lives of two incredible artists, Madge Gill
Early 20th century British.
and contemporary UK artist, SLART.
Yeah.
Now, get this. SLART was born exactly 100 years after Madge Gill.
Really?
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
A century apart, yet both embodying that outsider art spirit, creating outside the mainstream,
It's so intriguing how both, despite the time difference,
Yeah.
really capture that essence, driven by personal visions, not formal training.
Right.
Slart even directly links to the movement through his admiration for Jean Dubuffet.
Ah, Dubuffet.
Yeah.
The champion of art Brut.
Yes.
Raw art, right?
Yeah, it's
Outside
raw.
the traditional art world.
Exactly. He celebrated self-taught artists, those whose creativity was pure, unfiltered expression.
Makes sense.
And this resonates deeply with Slart's approach.
Yeah.
He also believes anyone can create compelling art regardless of background.
So it's not about mastering techniques, it's that raw creative energy.
Exactly. Tapping into something deeper,
Right.
something beyond technical skill, letting your inner voice guide you, expressing your unique vision
I like that.
without being constrained by conventions.
Love it. Now let's journey back to the early 1900s and Madge Gill,
Okay.
a story of resilience, artistic awakening.
Her early life was tough. Born in 1882.
Wow.
Facing the stigma of illegitimacy, time in an orphanage, even sent to Canada as a British home child.
It's incredible she navigated all that.
It really is. And then her journey into art, equally remarkable.
Yeah.
1920, after a serious illness, partially blind.
Oh, wow.
She just starts creating prolifically,
Wow.
guided by a spirit she called Myrninerest.
It's like this force awakened something in her.
Exactly.
An artistic fire.
Thousands of drawings poured out of her.
Wow.
Primarily ink, black and white, not simple sketches.
Yeah.
These were intricate, hypnotic creations, swirling patterns,
I've seen some.
captivating imagery.
Her work often features that recurring motif, right?
Yes.
That mysterious woman, elaborate dress,
Haunting.
like she's peering into your soul.
Inviting you to unravel her secrets.
And she refused to sell her work.
Yeah.
It all belonged to Myrninerest.
Right.
Art as a deeply personal, spiritual practice,
Powerful.
not about recognition or money.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to the 21st century.
Okay.
We meet SLART, self-taught, figurative expressionist.
Rediscovering his passion later in life.
But his story, it's also intertwined with chronic illness.
He's very open about his journey with chronic kidney disease
Yeah.
and how it influences his art.
He often explores vulnerability, right?
Yes.
The fragility of life.
Memento Mori, that reminder of our own mortality.
Heavy stuff. But his style's vibrant, almost playful.
There's a lightness to it,
Yeah.
a sense of humor.
Keeps it from getting too heavy,
Right.
too morose.
He confronts those difficult subjects, but with resilience, even wit.
I can see that.
It makes his work relatable, inviting viewers to face those themes without feeling overwhelmed.
And you mentioned earlier he believes anyone can create art.
It's a core belief for him.
Yeah.
Creative expression is a fundamental right,
Right.
not just for a select few.
That's empowering.
It is.
I love that message.
It reflects in his work, full of energy, experimentation, freedom.
I can see it.
He doesn't let conventions limit him.
Yeah.
He just creates from the heart.
It's amazing how both, despite working in different times facing unique challenges,
Yeah.
are connected by that spirit of outsider art.
A shared thread.
It's like their work transcends time, place.
Speaks to something deeper, universal within us. Their art really testifies to the power of individual expression.
Absolutely.
And the fact that creativity can thrive outside the established art world.
It makes you think we often limit ourselves.
They do.
Maybe we think, I can't paint, I've never learned. But these artists show us art isn't about technical perfection.
It's about something more fundamental.
Yeah, that primal urge to create.
To bring our inner world into being.
So we've established that shared outsider art spirit, but let's get specific.
Okay.
Madge Gill's work, those intricate patterns, almost hypnotic. How'd she achieve that?
Well, she mainly used ink, often black and white,
Ah.
allowing for subtle variations in line.
Okay.
Repetition was key. Building layers of detail, creating mesmerizing patterns that seem to vibrate.
That's true. You can get lost in them.
There's a real sense of movement, energy flowing through her lines.
And those enigmatic figures, the women in gowns.
Yes.
What do you make of them? Self-portraits, spiritual guides, something else.
That's the beauty of it. It's open to interpretation.
True.
Some see them as Gill herself, reflecting her journey.
Right.
Or maybe embodying Myrninerest. Others suggest feminine archetypes.
Interesting.
Or lost loved ones.
Her life was full of loss, separation.
Yes.
A daughter who died young, separation from her son.
It's natural to see those experiences woven into her art.
Art as a way to process emotions.
To make sense of the difficult things.
Now, SLART also uses the human form a lot.
He does.
But his style's completely different. He calls himself a figurative expressionist.
What that means for SLART is that while he depicts recognizable human forms, he isn't focused on anatomical accuracy.
Yeah, it's not realism.
It's about using bold colors, distorted figures, expressive strokes to convey emotion, explore themes.
And he tackles heavy stuff, illness, mortality.
He does.
But there's that vibrant energy.
It's a paradox, facing reality, but with an underlying optimism.
I could see that.
A refusal to be defeated.
And the pop culture references, they add something too.
They do.
Schwarzenegger, Hulk Hogan, even Richard Diode.
It's more than just nostalgia, I think.
What do you think they mean?
He grew up in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
Those figures were part of his world.
Yeah.
They might represent strength, resilience, humor, qualities he's dealing with.
Especially with his illness.
Connecting his experiences to these broader cultural narratives.
Yeah.
Saying, I'm facing these challenges, but I'm drawing strength from these figures, these stories.
And unlike Madge Gill, who never sold her work, SLART exhibits, sells his pieces.
More different approaches.
He even runs his own gallery.
CRIX Gallery.
Dedicated to contemporary and outsider art.
Quite a contrast.
It is. Reflecting not just personality differences, but also how the art world has changed.
Gill's time, outsider art was largely hidden, unrecognized. Today, there's more appreciation.
For those unconventional voices.
SLART art can participate in the market while staying true to the outsider art ethos.
It's fascinating how their stories are so different.
They are.
But highlight how outsider art itself has evolved.
No longer on the fringes.
Right. It's in galleries, museums, online.
This wider recognition allows more people to experience its raw power, emotional depth. Challenges our ideas of what good art is, reminding us that creativity can thrive outside of tradition and formal training.
And that might be the most important takeaway here. An invitation to tap into our own creativity.
Exactly.
Explore our inner worlds without judgment.
Without self-consciousness.
We don't need fancy degrees or expensive supplies.
Just the courage to pick up a tool.
A pen, brush, clay.
And let our imaginations loose.
You know, it's striking how both Madge Gill and SLART,
despite their differences,
champion this uninhibited creation.
It's inspiring.
It makes me think about Dubuffet again. Art Brut.
Powerful concept.
Was he specifically saying untrained artists should create?
Not necessarily prescribing who should create. His focus was on valuing art from raw expression.
I see.
Often from those outside the art world. He saw a primal creativity in their work.
It makes sense.
Unburdened by conventions or market pressures.
So it was more about where the art came from.
The driving force behind it.
Exactly.
He was drawn to art that felt spontaneous, instinctive, deeply personal.
An authentic reflection of the human experience.
Unfiltered by training or intellectualization.
It makes you wonder if we've overcomplicated art.
In some ways, maybe.
Galleries, critics, collectors lost sight of the joy of creation.
I think there's truth to that.
The art world can be intimidating.
It can.
Rules, hierarchies.
Outsider art reminds us that art can exist beyond those structures.
It could happen anywhere.
Bedrooms, basements, hospitals even.
It's shared with anyone. Or kept private.
The act of creation is what matters.
It really is.
That's liberating.
Yeah.
Takes the pressure off. It's not about the masterpiece.
Right.
It's about expressing yourself.
Connecting with something deeper, finding meaning.
Exactly. And who knows?
What could happen?
Maybe by embracing that freedom.
Letting go.
We tap into something truly extraordinary.
Resonating with ourselves.
And others.
Absolutely.
Well said. I think that's a perfect place to wrap up for now.
It is a good point to pause.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure. Into the world of outsider art and the lives of Madge Gill and SLART. A century apart.
Amazing.
But united by that commitment to personal expression.
The essence of art Brut.
Exactly. And for our listeners, If you're feeling inspired,
pick up a brush, a pencil, anything.
Anything.
Create.
Embrace that inner artist.
See where it leads you.
We'll have links to resources in the show notes.
For those who want to explore further.
Until next time, happy creating.
It really makes you think about those limitations we put on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I can't paint. I never took lessons.
Right.
But these artists, they show us art isn't about being perfect, technically.
Right. It's something more.
It's that urge, that need to create.
Express.
To make your inner world real, tangible.
Okay, so we've talked about that shared outsider art spirit.
Yeah.
But let's get into some specifics.
Okay.
Madge Gill. Those intricate patterns, almost hypnotic. How'd she do that?
Mostly, she worked with ink, often just black and white.
Right.
It let her create these subtle variations in the lines. And repetition, that was key.
Yeah.
Building up layers of detail.
Right, I can see that.
Creating these patterns that almost seem to vibrate, you know?
They do. You can get lost in them.
There's real movement there, energy flowing.
And those figures, the women in those elaborate gowns.
Yes, enigmatic.
Well, what do you think they are? Self-portraits? Spirit guides? Something else entirely?
That's the beauty of Gill's work, so open to interpretation.
It's true.
Some say they're representations of Gill herself, maybe her journey.
Okay, reflecting her life.
Or embodying Myrninerest, that guiding force.
Right.
Others think they might be feminine archetypes. Or even lost loved ones, symbolized.
Well, she did experience a lot of loss.
She did.
Her daughter dying young, the separation from her son.
It's natural to see those experiences reflected.
Art as a way of processing.
Making sense of the tough stuff.
SLART uses the human form, too.
He does.
But his style, so different.
Very different.
He calls himself a figurative expressionist.
So what that means for SLART?
Yeah, what does that actually mean?
It means he's depicting human forms, yes, but he's not after anatomical accuracy.
Right, not photorealism.
Exactly. It's bold colors, distorted figures, expressive brush strokes to convey emotion.
And he tackles some pretty heavy themes.
Illness, mortality.
Yeah, but his work still has that vibrant feel.
It's a paradox.
It is, kind of.
He's confronting these difficult realities, but with this underlying optimism.
I can see that.
He refuses to be defeated by it.
And those pop culture references, they add another layer to it all.
They do.
Schwarzenegger, Hulk Hogan.
Even Richard Ayoud.
I love that one.
It's deeper than just nostalgia, I think.
Yeah, what do you make of him?
Well, he grew up in the 80s, 90s.
Right.
Those figures were part of his world then.
Yeah, they were everywhere.
They might represent strength, resilience, that sense of humor.
Qualities he's maybe grappling with.
Especially with his illness, yeah.
Connecting his own life to those bigger cultural stories.
Exactly, saying, hey, I'm facing these things, but I'm also drawing strength from these figures, these stories I grew up with.
Now, unlike Madge Gill, who never sold her work, SLART exhibits and sells his pieces.
2 different paths.
He even has his own gallery.
CRX Gallery.
Showcasing contemporary and outsider art.
It's a big contrast, isn't it?
It is, reflecting not just their personalities, but how the art world has changed.
In Gill's time, outsider art was hidden, really.
Yeah.
Unrecognized, but today there's a real appreciation.
But those different voices, yeah.
So SLART can participate in the market, but still keep that outsider ethos.
It's amazing how their stories are so different.
Yeah, they are.
But they both highlight how outsider art has evolved.
Not just on the fringes anymore.
It's in galleries, museums, all over online.
And this wider recognition lets more people experience the raw power.
The emotion.
It challenges what we think good art is.
Right, expands our definition.
Reminding us that creativity can thrive outside tradition, outside formal training.
And that might be the biggest takeaway here.
It might be.
An invitation for all of us to tap into our own creativity.
To explore without judgment.
Without being self-conscious.
We don't need those fancy degrees, the expensive materials.
Just the courage to pick up a tool, express ourselves.
A pen, a brush, whatever calls to you.
And let our imaginations run wild. It really makes you think about Dubuffet and Art Brut again.
Yeah, going back to that.
Was he specifically saying, like, only untrained artists should be creating? Or was it more about a mindset?
I don't think he was trying to tell anyone who should or shouldn't create.
Okay.
It was more about valuing the art that came from that raw, unfiltered place.
Right, the pure expression.
Often that came from people outside the traditional art world.
Right.
The outsiders.
He saw in their work this primal creativity.
Untouched by the rules.
Unburdened by conventions, by the market, all of that.
So it was about the source of the art, the driving force behind it.
Yeah, he was drawn to that spontaneous, instinctive, deeply personal art, like a true reflection of the human experience.
Unfiltered, unmediated.
It makes you wonder, have we overcomplicated art?
Maybe in some ways.
All the galleries, the critics, the collectors.
The whole system.
Have we lost sight of that pure joy of creation?
I think there's some truth to that.
The art world can be so intimidating.
It can be.
All those rules, the hierarchies.
Outsider art reminds us that art can exist outside of that.
It can exist anywhere.
It can happen in a bedroom, a basement, even a hospital room.
It can be for anyone.
Shared with friends, family, or just for yourself.
The act of creation itself is what matters.
It really is at the heart of it.
That's a liberating thought.
It is. Free.
It takes the pressure off, you know? It's not about creating a masterpiece for a gallery.
No, not at all.
It's about expressing yourself.
Connecting with something deeper.
Finding meaning in the process.
Maybe even a sense of purpose.
And you never know.
You just never know.
Maybe by embracing that freedom.
Letting go of all those expectations.
We tap into something truly extraordinary.
Something that resonates not just with ourselves, but with others too.
That's a great point.
It's about that connection.
I think that's a perfect place to wrap up.
A good note to end on.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of outsider art.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
Madge Gill and SLART.
A century apart.
But so connected by their dedication to personal expression.
That spirit of art, Brut.
Absolutely. And to all our listeners out there, if you're feeling inspired,
pick up a brush, a pencil, whatever you have.
Just create.
Embrace that inner artist.
See where it takes you.
You might surprise yourself.
We'll have links to some resources in the show notes if you want to explore further.
For those who want to learn more.
Until next time, happy creating, everyone.